so we're just basically going to go right into it. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to K4CO Radio. I am sitting here. I am Josh with the morning show, and I'm sitting here with our Vice President of Media and the host of Afternooners with Sarah. How's it going, Sarah?
Hey, well, happy Friday. It's
Happy
good to
Friday.
be here.
I love Fridays.
I do too. You know what? It's amazing, and we have a wonderful guest, which brings the Friday just even more excitement.
We definitely do. Straight out of Colorado Springs. Mr. Austin Taft. How are you doing, Austin?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Yeah.
Here I am. I've arrived. Nothing can stop it now.
I love it. You have officially arrived. That's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah. I meant like I kicked the door down and I just let myself in. Yeah.
Please do. That's what it's here for.
Well, thank you very much. We want to get kind of right into it. Well, how long have you been playing and recording music, Austin?
I have been playing drums since I was 4 years of age. So 34 years, for those of you doing the simple arithmetic on how old I am.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm a drummer first. I started teaching myself the guitar and bass around 14, and I played a little bit of amateur piano prior to that, started leaning into that as well. And that's it.
A lot of kids get piano. That's like their first, which is great. It's a good foundation for it. But I'm wondering myself right now, what was wrong with your parents to get you a drum set at 4 years old? Were they just glutton for punishment or something like that?
I was banging on the pots and pans. I was making the noise. So I grew up in a musical household. And my parents are both musical parents. Sorry, I'm here to think.
You're good.
And my mom played piano and still plays piano. She has been an expert at the flute instrument for many decades. She has an excellent ear for harmony and singing, which I've always admired and appreciated. And my dad's a songwriter. He's been a songwriter for many decades, is one of his many talents. He plays acoustic guitar, but I think he considers himself to be more of a songwriter and a tunesmith than a performer. He's always been interested in just the crafting of the song and trying to do that. And so he had a pretty excellent collection of audio equipment to make that happen. A couple of real tape decks and the PA system and all the stuff you would sort of need. And so growing up around that, plus the awesome record collection in the house, that was definitely how I got exposed to music as it being part of my big environment. Now, the flip side of that is, why music? Because it sounds obvious with that information, like you're around music all the time, so you pick it up. But I also grew up with my mom's paintings in the house, and they lovely paintings, right? But it wasn't like I thought, I want to do that too. It's just you admire it as an observer. Both of my parents are also retired theater professors and extensive theater background, but I didn't pick up theater either as the thing I wanted to do. I think with music, it was the range of music and the range of sound and expression. You know, Sammy Davis Jr. is not Genesis and vice versa. Like, there was a big range of stuff. And so I think between the songwriting influence and then that range of sound that I was exposed to pretty early, it was something that I was really just kind of interested to explore myself.
Yeah. Well, and plus it sounds like you gravitated naturally, especially to the drums. And you said something offline, which I found very fascinating, that you found that the drums were a good foundation and it made it easier for you to navigate and learn other instruments.
Yeah, that's my theory, for sure. And I don't know that everyone would have the same experience, but I think for me, starting on the drums, there's nothing to worry about keeping in tune. There's no melody. It's just rhythm. You just figure out the rhythm and you master the rhythm, and you have to have the feel to have it sound natural. And so you spend 10 years doing that. When you pick up the guitar later, you pick up the piano, you can already feel the rhythm. It's kind of instinctive at that point. And so it is more about building up the calluses in your fingers for the guitar, learning the chord shapes, maybe upping your music theory, and tonality and things being in tune and all of that. But yeah, definitely, I feel fortunate to have kind of accidentally conquered the rhythm to the extent that one ever conquers anything and we stop learning, which is never. And then, yeah, I was able to pick up some stuff where the melody was more important.
When did you start picking up the guitar and playing that?
14 years.
14, okay, yeah. Who were some of your? I'm curious because you were in a household filled with inspiration. Mm-hmm. Who were some of the biggest artists that you remember that you just fell in love with as a kid?
Genesis is the one for sure.
That is the number one.
There are many, but that's still the number one. The fan base gets divided between the poppier leaning stuff and the progressive leaning stuff and everything. But to me, it's all interesting. You know, mm-hmm. Like I'll give you a real quick example. The song "I Can't Dance," which we probably know. Precisely. Widely considered to be one of their more poppy, accessible things. But I maintain that is part of one of the most progressive decisions they ever made. And it's because nobody talks about context in talking about whether music is progressive or not. You know, it's usually just, is this song talking about castles, or does it have 19 time signature changes in it, or whatever. But here's the context. The song before "I Can't Dance" on the album is a song called "Driving the Last Spike," which is a 10-minute plus epic about the building of the English railways in the 1800s.
Oh my
so
gosh.
To me, saying this is one track, and then we're going to follow it up immediately with "I Can't Dance, I Can't Talk," you're saying that these both deserve to be under the same roof, and not only do they deserve to be on the same album, they deserve to be back to back,
right.
And they're both valid. That to me is progressive because it's challenging the listener. You know what I mean? So sometimes you have to go even outside the song. That's how I feel about it. To look at what the music is bringing to the table, I suppose, as part of the bigger picture.
You are extremely educated and well-versed and
You
very
are very
well-spoken. No, it's the truth. I mean, it's to be able to see the forest through the trees is really hard, especially if you're so immersed in it and you have been at a young age. So when you can take yourself out and kind of be the third person to, again, gather the context. We talk about that. We were talking about that this week is, do you have context around what you were saying?
Sure.
And it's wonderful that you can see that because it is all valid. I mean, Invisible Touch is probably my favorite. I have the right spot, right? Okay, good.
Yeah. And I remember getting that tape. My great aunt Bonnie gave me $10 when I was maybe 7, 8 years old, and I knew I could get a cassette tape with $10.
Nice.
And so I got Invisible Touch. And the whole album is great, you know, but like side A, it's Invisible Touch, Land of Confusion, In Too Deep. But I got to side B. I flipped the tape over. There's this 11-minute song called Domino, which is about this war in Lebanon. And that young, I thought it was exciting. There was a sense of drama, and it was just, it kept changing, and it was cool. And I think that combination of like the pop stuff and then the adventurous stuff being on the same album, that's kind of definitely one of the influences for why my records have kind of developed the way they have. Is like today I'll do probably 3 songs which are relatively accessible, you know, but then there's one that's going to be a little bit weirder, and it's not going to scare anybody, but it's just a little bit more like, you know, lyrically, what is he babbling about? And maybe it is a little bit more different compositionally, and I sort of like that balance where there's the immediate stuff which, you know, gets you some goodwill with the listener, and they say, I can identify with this. Then you start to introduce some surprises, and they say, oh, this is cool too. I don't know that I would have heard this if they just opened with it, but I heard these other things that led me to it, and I quite like that. Yeah.
Nice. I like the thought-provoking. Personally,
yeah.
To go on the journey. I'm curious, are you a native to Colorado?
I'm not.
Okay.
We moved around quite a bit when I was a kid. Every few years we ended up somewhere. So predominantly in the South and a little bit of Midwest. But we've been, my wife and I have been in Colorado for 8 years. So
okay.
Yeah, we've been out here for a while, and we're enjoying it. My wife has some family out here, and we were kind of interested to just be part of, I think, this community, be around the mountains, and just change it up because I've never lived this far west.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're here for good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We're rocking and rolling.
Nice.
That's good.
Well, we will definitely get into more about your music and inspiration. So we have this first song that you're going to perform.
Yeah.
This is very cool. So for listeners that are just tuning in, thank you for listening to K4CO Radio. We have Austin Taft here with us in studio. He's going to perform 3 or 4 live acoustic performances for us. So this first one is called So Far Down. Can you tell us a little bit about that song, inspiration behind it?
Yeah, so it's a song about, it's one of those, don't let them get you down songs, which are kind of good to have. You put some positive energy out there. I think it was partially crafted actually as something to be really exciting live in the electric set, because I'm not going to do it here, but for the sake of example, it's got that really quick tapping part on the electric, this. thing.
Okay.
But on the acoustic, it just doesn't sell, you know. So with some of the electric material, you rearrange it a little bit, you invert the chords, you get what you can get out of the instrument so that it's maybe a different interpretation of it. But your station has been so kind to pick up 3 songs from my catalog for rotation. I thought I'll pop in and do a couple of them and then do some other stuff, and we'll see what happens.
Well, we love it. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. So
You got it.
All right, well, let's get this started. Everybody, Austin Taft from Colorado Springs here with So Far Down.
I'm sensing a change, a convergence, shining bright as the daytime sky. I'm sensing a shift in my own evolution. I can't put my finger on why. I once was connected, existing in oneness, and I am no different now. A cleansing of fear makes the woes disappear, and the signal is clearer somehow. So far down, nothing will be my catastrophe, and I won't fall. So far down, so far down, yeah. Everyone here is trying to find a way to better their lives. Everyone here is searching for something. Don't be afraid to try. Answers and questions and answers spinning around like a top. So turn around and don't look down. It doesn't matter how far the drop. So far down, and nothing will be your catastrophe, and you won't fall. So far down, so far down, so far down, so far down. Hey! I'm surging through space on the waves of total change. My isolation is broken. We're traveling fast and we're wired in mass. Together the truth will be spoken. Oh. Everyone here is trying to find a way to better their lives. Everyone here is searching for something. Don't be afraid to try. Everyone here is trying to find a way to better their lives. Everyone here is searching for something. Don't be afraid to try. So far down, nothing will be my catastrophe, and I won't fall. So far down, so far down, nothing will be your catastrophe, and you won't fall. So far down, so far down, so
That was so beautiful. Thank you. That had rock and some beautiful tenderness in there.
Very well done. I really, and that's an older song from you, right? From 2012, is that right?
I've been performing that one live since 2009, came out in 2012, and it is track 7 on the extensively titled album, War of the Songs of Light Against the Songs of Darkness.
Wow.
Yep.
See, he's well educated. I'm telling you. It's just, wow. Do you have your master's degree in something?
I do not.
Man, you could take the world by storm.
I'm far enough in my life now where I feel like I can say that. I took 1 semester of college.
Okay. Well,
One
you're
semester of college.
you're
Now,
just well-spoken, well-educated. You're self-educated.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I was very interested in doing more college. It's just something that it needed to be right, you know? It needed to be something that I felt like I was really going to be driven to pursue. And my parents are very much to be credited for, I think, a lot of the way that I am. But I also did some self-education, and
Yeah.
we are where we are.
Well,
I haven't hurt anybody yet, I don't think.
Well, that's good. That's
all
amazing.
5 of us on the freeway.
Yeah. Well, I do. I really loved how that was put together. You kind of married a couple different styles in there, and I love saying "get out and try." That's one of my most favorite things to say. It's get out of the frying pan and jump in 2 feet.
Yeah.
And don't be scared. Don't let anything stop you in this world, because for me, I think I find people in every genre of life, we get held up of our fears, whether they're rational or irrational. I'm like, go for it. What do you have to lose? So
Yeah.
I love that. That's very inspirational to me.
I appreciate that. And I should quantify, just to not lead anybody astray. So there are about 58 songs floating out there right now, like recorded. There's 5 albums worth. And some of the stuff gets pretty dark, but that's just part of the exploration, right? It's that thing I was talking about. It's the progressive and the pop. And one thing that gets twisted up a little bit, and I get it, is that it's assumed that most of my songs are about me. And broadly speaking, they're not. 95% of this music isn't. I mean, sometimes I've written songs where the perspectives even conflict with each other, but it's just exploring stuff, you know?
Now, even though they're not about you, are they fictional stories? Are they nonfiction?
So a song like So Far Down, that one I just performed, I think, has probably got some me in there, and that just you want to put some light and some good into the world, you know?
Right.
But there are some songs which, you know, sometimes tackle pretty heavy topics, but it's just trying to put yourselves in somebody else's shoes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a really depressing example, and then I'll try to turn the mood around. There's a song called The Empty Scan, which tackles miscarriage. And that isn't something which has been like a part of my life, but it's a part of a lot of people's lives, and I can count on one hand the number of songs I know about it, probably because it just isn't, it's a tough topic, you know? And so that's when you put your empathy hat on and just try to explore things that maybe haven't been tackled quite as much. You know, there are a lot of lift people up songs, and I don't mind doing another one because I think it's a good thing to have out there. But it's a good challenge, and maybe it'll do some good for someone somewhere to explore some other topics as well. So, yeah, it's a bit of everything in the catalog.
I totally agree. I feel like a lot of topics in today's world are off topic or not able to talk about. Taboo. Why? I've never understood why. If you keep shoving it under the rug or pretending it's not there, you know what? It's there.
Yeah.
And if you address with whatever it is, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And it's to say for a miscarriage or a cancer or anything like that, that has touched millions of people's lives. And I think when it is talked about, especially in an artistic way, the way that you're doing it, it brings people together, which is very uplifting, even in maybe a darker, harder things to talk about.
Sure.
It's still very uplifting.
Yeah, definitely. And there'll be some positive stuff on this next record, too. I'll be coming out with a new album this year. You know, it'll be a variety of stuff, as I tend to do, but there'll definitely be some of that in there, which is great. The last album was particularly down. And it's a serious listen, but I tried to have a sense of humor about promoting it because, I mean, you know, we've been hanging out in the studio for about an hour now. I like to crack jokes. I like to have fun. That's part of who I am. And so I kind of marketed the last album, which is called Skeletons, as, when people ask, what is the genre? I said, it's prog metal that sometimes isn't. Yay!
Okay, I love it.
You laughed. I love that. The amount of people in the press who were just like, "This is so. That's not what I would call it. I would call it." They list 6 other genres, and it's like that doesn't roll off the tongue. I'm trying to be funny. I get the album was kind of a downer, but like it was still coming from a good place. I mean, it was pure and it was whatever, you know. But anyway,
Nice.
I'm very proud of it, and I'm moving on.
Well, I am curious to circle back to that. A lot of it isn't about you and your life. I'm curious, where and when are you drawing inspiration to come up with these?
You know, it's just kind of all over the place, I guess. I don't know that there's really a pattern to it. Something that's interesting about music is that, you know, fiction and books is just expected because there's a whole, you know, division for it, fiction, books. And in film and in television and, you know, theater, this stuff is all kind of expected. But in music, there's a pattern that I notice, very broadly speaking, which is that a lot of listeners, and this sounds like harsher than I mean for it to, but they seek music which reaffirms what they're already feeling or what they already understand. So I am person X, and I have had my heart broken, and I am sad. So I then seek a song which tells me that I have had my heart broken and I am sad, or tells the story of someone else for whom that has happened. And I get that to a point, you know what I mean? Because you need whatever you need to help you through what you're going through. But at the risk of sounding, you know, too, I don't know, pompous or something, it's not interesting. You know, like, if I already know that, why do I need to know it again? So, like, in both listening to music and creating music, what I try to work in there, not every song, and not every song I do today will represent this, because I'm trying to play a variety of music that I think people will enjoy. But as you dig into the catalog, there's stuff where you do need to sit with it for a minute and say, what is he babbling about? Like, what? I don't even understand what this song is about. But, you know, we used to invest that time. You know, I mean, when I talked about my great Aunt Bonnie giving me that $10, if I had hated the Invisible Touch record, you can bet that I would have played it again anyway. And I would have played it again, and I would have played it again, because that was the one I had money for. So I listened to it. But now we have access to most of the entire history of recorded music for somewhere between free and $15 a month. So if we don't like something, in 20 seconds, we skip to the next song, And I'm trying to play ball with that a little bit more moving forward. There's going to be more singles, stuff like that. But ultimately, I am an albums guy. And I'm still trying to make music where if you do invest the time, there will be some reward.
And I'm definitely an albums guy, too. I miss it. I loved going to the stores. And I used to just pick out albums based on the cover. I'm just like, all right, I'm going to listen to this one. And then back in the day where you could just listen to the CDs without buying it and listen to it. And then you'd be like, oh, I like this. Okay, I'm going to buy this one. But I love the albums. Today, it's all about releasing singles at a time, which it's a different type of world, too. You got to keep people entertained and keep going, you know, so release one song every month or two or something like that. But something about holding that physical album and listening to it from start to finish. And I think, what the hell was he babbling about? I think that came about, I think a lot of people did that to, like, Dylan. What is this guy talking about, you know? But I really respect that about it. In your last album, you said Skeletons. You spoke highly of, is that one of your favorite albums that you've done? You've had 5 albums since 2009.
Yeah.
What is your favorite album? When you look back, do you have a favorite album of yours?
Skeletons is up there. It was definitely the most fun I had in the studio because there wasn't an aim to reproduce that one live. So if I wanted to put on a 5th guitar, a ninth keyboard part, I went production wild with it and thought, let me just go for it. And I think what I will say about it is definitely not for everybody by a long shot. But, you know, there are tens of thousands of albums that come out every week, every month. So I haven't heard anywhere near all the music that's out there. But I've heard a lot, and I own a lot. And there are 8 billion people on this planet. And for what I know, I've never heard another album like Skeletons. So, like it or don't like it, that combination of elements in about 71 minutes is unique, I think. And so if somebody's looking for a challenge, I recommend they check it out. If they're looking for something more accessible, I recommend one of the first 3 albums, probably. Or the acoustic record. The acoustic album's called The Human Condition, and it still has definitely some rock in there and stuff, as you kind of heard on the last one. That song is typically electric, but I still like to rock out on the acoustic, but it also lets me really explore those sensitive moments too, and that one tends to register well with people, and it gets good marks with me.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that you tackle all of it, that you have the tangible albums, and that you're also, accessible. You've covered it all, which is really cool.
Yeah, you try to. It's somewhere between 25%, maybe a third of the catalog. The songs are over 6 minutes long. Okay. So it's a pretty good chunk of long form music that stretches into 8, 9, 10, 12 minutes. But a lot of it is more bite-sized, and I like doing that. Yeah.
Kind of both. Well, I want to segue into your next song here, Daydream.
Yes.
When was this one written? Tell us a little bit about what was the inspiration behind this
He
one.
was daydreaming at the time.
Thank you, Josh.
Oh,
now
no
I would
problem.
like the artist to actually tell us the truth.
It's true, though. Because a lot of the music gets written just, and for those in Radio Land, I'm pointing to my head. It's just up here. It's just in my head. Like, I write it without an instrument. And I'm far from the only one to do that. But it's one important way that I do create that. So that was written in the car, just driving around town one day. And it wasn't about anyone in particular, but it was kind of a nice love song. And it was also written in a way where anyone could sort of sing it to anybody, because it's just specific enough to paint a picture, but it's just vague enough where a man could sing it to a woman, or a woman could sing it to a woman, or anybody could sing it to anybody, and it would just kind of work. So anybody could perform it if they wanted to. So far, I'm the only one, but maybe Garth Brooks will say, "Why not?" One day.
Ooh,
I don't know.
Garth, if you're listening, this is your time to step up.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to a special interview. We have Austin Taft here in studio, and now he's going to perform Daydream.
Sure am. I'm actually going to cough, and then I'm going to do that.
Okay. You are absolutely welcome to do
All right.
your time. But
Thus ensuring that Daydream goes off without a hitch. Here we go. Yeah. Going through the motions in my everyday today, searching for atonement in my own peculiar way. There's always a hurdle, a barrier to break through. Some folks can remember more and some remember less, and life's a grand adventure on the quest for happiness. I took it to the road last night to try and lighten my head. I was driving down I-55 and Don Williams was playing, and I thought of you, I thought of you, I thought of you. Lost inside a melody of timelessness and memories and trust. The stars up in the sky are just like polka dots to me. The satellites take pictures of their bright intensity. And if there's a heaven up there, I'd swear it has familiarity. Sitting on the porch last night, the neighbor's dog was barking, and I thought of you, I thought of you, I thought of you. I want to say this carefully, and I hope that you can understand me now. Oh, I think you know the way I feel about you, 'cause everyone has seen it in my smile. And I have higher self-esteem locked inside my daydream, but I'll try, and the chance is worthwhile. And I've known you for a long, long time, and I've wondered how long I will be alone. But now I find it's something I always knew.
it's about time to say I love you. Many are the nights in which I've laid in bed awake, hoping I can fall asleep so I can see your face. And in the day it's quite the same, my thoughts are far away. I think it's 'cause I feel safest in my space. It's hard to be rejected when your feelings aren't reflected in what you say. And sometimes my intentions are really just extensions of my fears. That every day contains a moment when I'm not too focused and I think of you, I really do, I think of you. I need to say this carefully and I hope you don't misunderstand me now. Oh, I think you know the way I feel about you, 'cause everyone has seen it in my smile. And I have higher self-esteem locked inside my daydream, but I'll try, and the chance is worthwhile. And I've known you for a long, long time, and I've wondered how long I will be alone. But now I find it's something I always knew. And it's about time to say I love you.
Absolutely beautiful song. I love that one, and we have that one in our rotation. And
Sure do. Thank you for that.
When I first heard that one, because we kind of all go through all the submissions, I was like, yeah, this is definitely going in. I mean, if I have my vote, this is definitely in. So that was off of The Human Condition, right, in 2015?
That is right.
Yeah, perfect. Just a beautiful, beautiful song. So thank you very much again for coming in, because we absolutely love it. As you say, Sarah, this is kind of like a little concert just for us in here. And I got to turn you on, don't I? There you go.
All good. No, it is. It's amazing to have our own personal concert. It is very, very cool.
I'm very privileged to be playing for you. Thanks again for having me. Appreciate you.
Of course. That is a beautiful song. That hits on a lot. I agree. You could sing that to absolutely anyone. It's about relationships, and it could be, when you talked about the dog barking, I was like, man, I was laying with my dog last night thinking about how much I love her and what a cool, 12 years it's been with her and what she's brought to my life. And I could see like someone sitting on the porch listening to a dog barking, thinking about like a long lost relative, about like, man, I need to call that person and say I love you.
Yeah.
So it's all encompassing.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. You're the creative one. Man, I have no musical talent at all. So I get to absorb it.
I would argue that it takes a notable amount of creativity to stand up a station like this and to stick with the mission the way that you folks have. So, we all got to do what we got to do, and we're doing it.
That is true. I appreciate that. Thank you for saying it.
Certainly.
Sometimes it takes a small village to accomplish some of these things.
Yeah, changing the world.
Another thing, I think this is pretty impressive. How many instruments do you play?
Only a handful, depending on what you like. Well, because I think like guitar and bass guitar, the tuning is roughly the same, and so like the technique you need to execute on the instruments is going to be different, but it's kind of less of a ramp up. So in terms of what I'm good at, to least good at, drums, guitar, bass guitar, keyboard, and then I sing. I have technically played harmonica on recorded music. I've played ukulele, which is a totally different tuning, which, you know, trying to figure out some of those suspended chords and things on a ukulele is like, what?
Much bigger animal. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but those are kind of the main ones. Yeah.
Well, it's impressive. So I want people to understand when they're listening to your 5 different CDs, different albums. Sorry, see, I'm dating myself too when I say that. 5 different albums. That this is all you. It's 100% you. I mean, that's rare in today's day and age. I think you usually have somebody accompanying you.
Probably, and particularly with the drums being real. You know, a lot of one-person projects have programmed drums, but I'm a drummer first, and I'm quite proud of the chops that I put on the albums. I mean, it's never meant to show off. It's always supposed to be in service of the song, but that's a big part of it. And the me playing the different instruments came about from like two different angles, I guess. You know, I mentioned we were moving around a little bit when I was a kid, not extravagantly or exceptionally so, but a little bit. And there was a buddy of mine, big shout to Leon Ferguson IV. He and I were pretty cool when we were kids. You know, we were playing music together, and then, you know, we moved out of town, and so. You know, you're in a new town and you're trying to find musicians who just kind of want to do what you want to do and take the chances you want to take. And I had difficulty finding that. Happy into that story. Leon lives in Golden. And I mean, we're still cool. You know, I mean, we still make music together today, 27 years later.
That's awesome.
Big shout to Leon. But I think there was a certain interest in, if I can't find the people who are, you know, just right here that maybe want to take the chances I want to take, can I bring that out of myself and start learning more instruments? And you know, I mentioned my dad's a songwriter. The songwriting has always kind of been king for me, and so maybe that's a way to pursue that. The second thing is something very interesting, to me anyway. It's the kind of thing where there's just this moment that you don't expect to be this influential, and it is, in kind of the opposite way of what you'd expect. So when I was a kid, 11 or 12, I can't remember which, my parents got me a CD for Christmas, and it was Hanson, Middle of Nowhere. Okay. We all know it.
I've tried to repress it every once in a while.
I haven't heard it in decades, but in my assessment, it's a fine album in its own right. But they got me that because there's a picture of these 3 Hanson kids on the cover, and the drummer, Zach Hanson, was the same age as me, so he must be 38 now-ish. And I think they thought, rightly, like, this is cool. Like, this kid is in this band, and they have this record deal, and he's like your age, and, you know, check this out. So I put in the CD, I'm listening to it, and it's cool, you know, it's well-crafted music. And I crack open the booklet, and it says something to the effect of, you know, Hanson is, and it's the 3 Hanson kids. And then there is a laundry list of other studio musicians on the album. And I don't just mean like, you know, there's a viola player and other things, but like, there's at least one more keyboard player, as I recall. There's at least one other guitarist. There are like 3 other drummers that aren't Zach Hanson on it. And it's not labeled in a way where you can tell who played on what. Like if you buy a Brand X record or something. Like
it just says track 1 is exactly, this guy,
yeah. Phil
track
Collins
5.
played on these tracks, and Mike Clark played drums on these 2 tracks or whatever. But this is just a big list of musicians, and you have no idea who did what. So for all I know, and I don't believe this is quite how it happened, but Zach Hanson hit the snare drum once, and everybody else, all these studio musicians played, you know, and I imagine it probably, I don't know, but it probably came from a place where a producer or record executive is like, bring in our guys, you know, and we'll market it as this. And I'm not taking anything away from Hanson at all, because they still play, as far as I know. I mean, they can obviously play, but it's a marketing engine thing. And so at 11 or 12 years of age, there was a strange disconnect moment when I thought, the CD says Hanson, and these 3 kids are on the cover, and I have no idea what they did aside from obviously sing. And that was weird to me. And so where I'm going with this is when it became a trial for myself, where when you get an Austin Taft CD, you know who to praise or who to blame if you like it or you don't. Yeah, that guitar solo, that guitar solo is sick. Hey, that was me, homie. Thanks very much. You know, and this production is awful. Who mixed this garbage? Well, that was me. You know what I mean? Like, but you at least know it's authentic. It says my name, and so it's me.
That is amazing.
That is a weird thing, too, because I remember, you know, I mean, our vice president here was a studio drummer in L.A. back in the 70s. And, you know, a lot of times bands do, and producers, they do use studio guys. A lot of times because studio time is money. got to get it done perfectly, got to, and there's many different reasons for it. But it is weird that you say on the hands, I got to look at that Hanson album because that is weird because usually, yes, it says on this track and this track is this person, this track, this person.
It's not like that.
Yeah. You, when you play live, you play with a band? Do you have band members come on, or is it just yourself?
So there was a very well-functioning electric band for quite a long time. It hasn't been active in about a decade. And now I've moved out here, and so I would have to reform the band. So if there are musicians listening to this who are in Colorado Springs or Fountain or Monument or Denver and don't mind me making some commutes and you making some commutes, and you have chops and you want to try things, if I'm being really picky, I'd love jazz musicians that can play rock, but who's to say what's going to work,
Right.
I'd love to spin it back up. The acoustic stuff, yeah. I mean, it's a little bit tricky because I like music with layers, and I produce that way. And so, as you're hearing today, it's just me and my acoustic guitar.
Right.
And I don't tend to use looping stations or things like that because they nail you. And no disrespect to those who do, but it nails you down to a time signature. It nails you down to a tempo. And I can't just play, And the thing about either it just being me or the live outfit is I would always want it to be fluid enough where I can kind of look at the guys and go, this is going great. Can we do another 4 bars, And everybody just kind of locks in. So it means there's no synchronized light show to a metronome, none of that. You just turn the amps up and do it. Mm-hmm. And I like that. That's where the rock stuff comes out. I'm a rock guy at heart, I think I maybe mentioned. And that's definitely, the way I try to structure the music, however it's delivered, I guess.
Right. And you've, looking on your website, so people who are listening in, it's just austintaft.com, AUSTINTAFT.com. You've opened and played for quite a few really cool, well-known bands that I see here. And what was your kind of, looking back, what was kind of one of your favorites? Kind of, when you look back on this live performance or opening for this person, and this just the entire night was perfect.
One of the top 10 moments of my life.
Yeah.
Days of the New, for sure.
Nice.
Huge. And there was a bit of justice to that because I tried to see Days of the New live 2 weeks before I turned 21. And the venue wouldn't let me in because I wasn't 21. And no amount of, come on, guys, please, I promise I'm responsible and not terrible. It just didn't do anything. So being able to share the stage with Days of the New, that was wild. And there was this really interesting moment where, I'm not a rock star by any stretch. My Spotify numbers will tell you, but please feel free to go to Spotify and listen to Austin Taft. Much better.
Way to market yourself.
But there was this honesty is the best policy, I guess. But there was this moment when Travis is up on stage and he's playing Enemy, and I'm 10 feet from the dude. And I'm like, oh, it's wow, this is amazing. And these kids had gotten the set list off the stage, and from our set. Because they were just like, they loved live music and everything, and they wanted me to take a photo with them. Mm-hmm. And there was this, it was maybe no more than 500 milliseconds. My brain did this scramble of, but I want to watch Travis because he's my hero. And the kid in me, when I was their age, was listening and looking up to this dude as a musician and a songwriter. Yeah. But then there are these kids who just saw what I did and want me to spend time with them, and that's the right thing to do because that's why you're there. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned entertainment earlier, Joshua, and I think the live performance is really where that comes in. It's not that the studio music can't have entertainment, but at the risk of sounding pompous, that's where like the artistry is really kind of top of mind for me. Mm-hmm. Live performance, it's it's easier than ever to just be entertained in your house. So when people pay money and take their whole evening to come see you, they need to leave there going, ooh, we made the right call going to see Austin Taft tonight. That was a good show. And so the live performance entertainment, that's really, really critical for the success of that.
Good answer.
I know. I love it. It's cool to see kind of your legend, right in front of you.
Awesome.
I'm sure that's very inspiring.
Yeah, it was an amazing night for sure.
Well, I want to make sure we get to this third one here. So the Engine of Narrative. Correct?
Yeah, I want to know about this title.
I want to know the title and what?
Okay, dude.
So pretty much all of my titles I come up with originally. This is a very rare example where the title, The Engine of Narrative, was lifted from a Terence McKenna lecture. And for any of our listeners who don't know who Terence McKenna is, that's cool, because I know you're saying, you know what, when I eventually exercise bad judgment tonight and stop listening to K4CO Radio, I have nothing to do. So now you have something to look up on the internet. Who is Terence McKenna?
Exactly.
And yeah, the song, I would say, is about life and everything that comes with it. And maybe that'll become clear as I perform.
Okay.
All right. I can't wait. Sounds good.
All right, here we go. This is the Engine of Narrative. 5, 6, 7, 8. Stand up, it's almost time for you. But I see it in your eyes, you're not really sure. We got our ways and our routine, invincible, or so it seems. We're so preoccupied, but does it all feel right? Yeah. Imagining and balancing everything that is happening. We're hustling and tunneling our way through every single day. All my brothers, sisters on this blessed land, come with me and you will see and understand. Can you feel the changing? We're moving faster through the design into the divine. Inside the engine of narrative, launch your story and let it play out. Inside the engine of narrative, launch your story and let it play out. From every potted plant to every last telegram, the marks are made in our valued time. And we are all that we are and all we have been and all that we will be. Each new dimension brings us new possibilities. And I will take away what I am meant to take away. And we will be together when we are meant to be. Can you feel the changing, the ever-shifting, tightening of time? It is now and we're inside. Whoa, whoa. Struggling and stumbling to be what will become and be a blazing ball of light, a blazing ball of light. Struggling and stumbling to be what will become and be a blazing ball of light, a blazing ball of light. We're struggling to be what will become and be a blazing ball of light, a blazing ball of light. We're stumbling to be what will become and be a blazing ball of light inside the engine of narrative. Launch your story and see it play out. Inside the engine of narrative, launch your story and see it fade out. Inside the engine of narrative, launch your story and see it fade out.
inside the engine of narrative. Launch your story and see it fade out.
Holy potatoes. I don't even know how to begin to dissect something like that. Yeah, the story of life, boy, that encompassed birth. I think of the little engine that could. That's where my brain was. And then, I know, see, I'm not as educated. He is like self-prophecy here. Excuse me. That was amazing. That is the story of life.
Thank you. That's going to be on the new record. But guess what? The album version is 8 minutes long.
Ooh.
And there's this whole extended outro with these interlocking instruments. I can't do it here. So you get the radio edit for K4CO. But yeah.
Love it. Heard first on K4CO. I love it.
Okay, who is Terrence McKenna? in like a 30-second condensed
but
version.
now people can't Google when they make the wrong
okay.
choices.
Never mind. You know what? You go, I'm going to Google Terrence McKenna because that is what you advised. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To some, I'd say he has nothing but nonsense to say, but I find
It's kind of life, though,
I
right?
find his life and his work quite inspiring. Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
I know you know Leon. I mentioned my buddy Leon. Leon knows. Yeah.
That is awesome. Well, you have a new album that's coming out this year.
Yes, exact date TBD, but it's going to be a good one. I'm very excited for it.
Awesome. And do you have the amount of songs? Is everything written and ready to go?
Oh yeah, it's in the final stages of just getting it wrapped up. Final vocal mix, stuff like that. So, it shouldn't have taken this long to put out because it was meant to be kind of an appetizer before the next big one. And Skeletons was the easiest record I'd ever made in terms of just amount of fun I had and how easy it was to put together. It took a while, but I really enjoyed it. This record was tough because it was meant to be just a grab bag of miscellaneous songs. So I do these collections every so often. There's volume 1 called Fragments of the Absolute, which came out in 2011. And it's a 7-song collection of just a lot of songs that were kind of big live at the time, but I didn't know what to do with them and things like that. Clearing out the archives a little bit. And this was supposed to be another one of those where it was just a grab bag of cool songs or whatever. But as I've mentioned, and we're spirit buddies here, Joshua, I'm an albums guy, right?
Yep.
And even since I was a kid, I was kind of scrutinized over the exact amount of milliseconds in between songs and the flow of the thing. And so it even though it's a grab bag, it still kind of needs to work. And only 30% of the material that was going to go on this actually made it. I have a bunch of songs at like the 85% recording mark that I thought, I don't know, man, this other thing might work a little bit better. And so it took a while, but it is clearing out the archives in a sense. But I think there's been enough done to it where it's fresh, and it'll be a good one. I'm excited.
Well, we can't wait to hear it. I feel, it's so interesting to me. We actually hear a lot of musicians say that, like, it should have come out at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it came out and is going to come out at exactly the moment that it's supposed to come out. It is my feeling of life.
Love that.
Well, it's so true. I think we sometimes have this vision of how our life is going to unfold, and it's never the case. I just want to pop that illusion right now for everyone that's listening. So
that's true.
It's cool that that's coming out, and you needed to maybe do Skeletons first, and now do kind of this collection. And so it happened the way it's supposed to be.
Sure.
We're super excited for it.
And anyone familiar with the catalog a little bit is going to be probably grateful that the new one is getting back to this diversity, because there was this acoustic focused record and then this fairly extreme progressive metal angry raw record with just not one note of acoustic guitar on it. And this is going to not only get back to that diversity, but it's also going to carve out some new stuff. I mean, the first 2 minutes of that album, it's going to be, I didn't expect this. I didn't think he was going to do this, but it's going to be cool. It'll still be me. Everybody wants to carve out their unique sound, and that's hard to do because every year there's more stuff that's already been done, but I think I'm getting better at coming up with stuff which is me. And it's not that I'll never try like a funky thing again. I have some funky songs, but there are other artists who do funk and blues exceptionally better than I do, way better than I do. So you don't necessarily need me for that. To the extent that the stuff would be in demand, you want to try and create something where it's like, you've got to go to Austin Taft record to get that, because that's different and that is unique. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm excited about it.
Awesome.
Well, you got the 6th album coming out. What's the name of the album?
Circle of Blood.
Circle of Blood.
I like it.
And you can of course hear Austin Taft on all streaming services. But one thing that Austin and I have in common is not only the albums, but we love the old CDs. I still have all my CDs that I listen to. I love the quality of them. I just love start to finish. So can people still get all of your CDs are still available?
Yes, and I'll tell you what else. The only one that had not been released on CD was the aforementioned Fragments of the Absolute. I put it out initially as a free thing just because I wanted to see how much hype I could generate just giving music away for free as downloads, and it was 14 years ago, so it was kind of a different market at that point.
Right.
But I am going to press that on CD and release that as Collection 1 alongside Collection 2 here, Circle of Blood. So it'll be available on CD for the first time, as will the new one.
That's
Very
awesome.
cool.
For those of you that are just tuning in, we are listening to Austin Taft. He is here in studio. We have him, of course, in rotation, playing some new stuff. Go to austintaft.com, and you can learn all about him and all of his music. And I want to make sure we get this last song in here.
Yeah.
Have you take it out with Give It All Up.
You got it.
Tell us a little bit about that song before you play.
What'd you give up, Austin?
This is another one of those that got me in hot water a little bit, because I received some feedback that it was a song that needed to be more inspirational or something, and I would maintain everybody. I'm not knocking anybody's opinion, because people hear it and they hear what they hear. For me, it's another one. It sounds like I'm messing with people, but I tried to write it in a way where it's a bit of that thing I was talking about. It paints a picture. It's specific, but how you interpret some of the words is how you interpret it. You know what I mean? Like, is it? I would say, broadly speaking, it's about the problems before us. Very
Okay.
broadly speaking, and it's what you asked. What are you giving up? Right? It's that, are you just throwing in the towel? Is that what you're giving up because you're just kind of over stuff, or are you willing to give up, the lifestyle and the comforts that you have to try and make things better? What are you giving up? That was the way I meant it, but I don't know how. Now I've set the record straight, and I've never performed this one live. So.
Nice. Well, it is in the eyes of the beholder, and I am a firm believer that you haven't made it until someone hates you.
No, I don't think anybody hates me.
Well, or that has an opinion of, and it is in the eyes of the beholder. You can give up vices, and
Yeah.
I mean it depends how you look at it. So I'm
sure.
excited. Yeah, let's hear it live for the first time. This is "Give It All Up" by Austin Taft.
Of all the things I thought might do me in, I never felt that hope would be the one. Staring at the screen or at the wall or at the snow doesn't help me or anyone I know. The clock is ticking louder now, acutely aware of the importance of its second-hand spin. Calling time of death, circling a date just weeks ahead. The end of the beginning of the end. Hate has so much power. It corrupts and it contorts and it devours. And I can't pretend any longer. I'm ready to give it up. Give it all up. Side comes in, side goes out. But why is the water so high? Nothing I can do now but stand and watch contorts and it devours. And I can't pretend any longer. I'm ready to give it up. Give it all up. Hate has so much power. It corrupts and it contorts and it devours. And I can't pretend any longer. I'm ready to give it up. Give it all up. Give it all up.
Absolutely beautiful. I love that song.
Thank you.
I think
Appreciate that.
awesome. Sarah?
I agree. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
I found that actually very uplifting. To
I
me,
appreciate
it's
that.
well, it's the. I mean, I find people so funny. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm envisioning looking out at the snow and looking at the sunsets and giving up hate. It does have a lot of power, but so does love, and it's so
That's the gospel truth.
that
Right
is well, amen.
And I love what you said. What are you giving up? It can be a bad thing. It can be a good thing. It could be anything. What are you giving up? I really like that. Well, thank you so much for coming in here. It's always such a treat to meet. We have so much wonderful talent in Colorado, and you are definitely on that list. And please stay in touch with us, and we'd love to have you in again after your album release. Looking forward to that. Do you know if are you looking summertime, fall time?
I don't quite know. I
Okay.
I'd want to get the PR right for it. So there's
Right.
that sometimes that cycle where it's done and then it sits in a can until you make sure it maybe has the best chance of making the splash you want it to make.
Right.
Gotcha.
But I'll be in touch for sure. Thanks so much for having me. Thanks for putting up with my riddles for the better part of an hour. And I hope you both have a great rest of your day and wish you all the success of it.
Well, the pleasure was definitely all on this end right here. So you've been listening to Austin Taft. Definitely check him out on all streaming services, but also his website, austintaft.com, out of Colorado Springs. This has been a K4CO interview. We're going to get back to your regularly scheduled music, and be sure to listen to Afternooners with Sarah. That is our afternoon mix of music from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Thank you very much, Austin, and looking forward to the new album.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Take care.